Hello friends and my dear students, welcome back to my channel Phoenix Physics. Today we are going to learn Coulomb's law. It is a quantitative statement about the force between two stationary point charges, underline stationary point charges in vacuum or free space. Now tell me, what is point charge? Actually, point charge is a hypothetical charge located at a single point in space. A charge can be considered as a point charge is small as compared to the distance from which it is viewed. It should look like a point, right? Okay. Look at the diagram. Consider two point charges separated by a distance r. When the separation between two point charges greater than the radius of each sphere, then the charged sphere can be regarded as a point charge. What is the meaning? So if r is greater than the radius of sphere, means that charged sphere can be considered as a point charge. This is the actual meaning. The electrostatic force is directly proportional to the product of magnitude of two charges and inversely proportional to the square of the distance between two charges. Now, second point, to remove this proportionality symbol, I have to introduce one constant. Here, K is a proportionality constant. So, F is equal to K Q1 Q2 by R square. Here, the force on Q2 exerted by Q1 is F21. Why did I mark outward arrow symbol? Because both the charges are positive. You know that like charges repel each other. What is F21? Force on Q2 exerted by Q1. So F21, here F21 is the force, right? So force is a vector quantity. Then what about the magnitude? K Q1 Q2 by R square give the magnitude. You know that F is a vector quantity. So this term will give magnitude. Then how do you find out the direction? Unit vector will give the direction, that is R12. What is this R12? R12 is the unit vector pointing from Q1 to Q2 like this. So Q1 to Q2 means this is R12. Why did I write unit vector? Because this F21 is a vector quantity. This K Q1 Q2 by R squared gives magnitude. This unit vector gives the direction of this force. Then how do you find out this unit vector R12? How do you write R12? R12 vector by modulus of R12 vector, right? This is the general formula. You know that A vector, A cap means, how do you write A cap? A vector divided by mod of A. Same way here R12 is my unit vector. So I have written R12 vector divided by R12. The force, whether it is F21 or F12, what is F12? F12 is nothing but the force on Q1 exerted by Q2. So whether it is F21 or F12, always acts along the line joining of the two charges. So this is the line joining of the two charges. So it always acts along the line joining of the two charges. Aim is to find out the R12, that is unit vector R12 vector. You know the formula. How do you find out this R12 value? By applying triangular law of vector addition. You might have learned this triangular law of vector addition in your 11th standard. Here A and B are the two adjacent side of the triangle taken in the same order. Same order means like this. Here the arrow is like this. Here the arrow is like this. Always you should join one head end and one tail end. So A and B are the two adjacent side of the triangle. Then the resultant is given by the third side of the triangle taken in the reverse order. Arrow is in this direction. Okay. So if it is in this direction means same order, but here the arrow is in the upward direction. So reverse order. Same diagram only. Instead of A and B, I have R1 and R2. So what is this R1 and R2? Position vector from the origin. So from the origin to Q1, the position vector is R1. From the origin to Q2, the position vector is R2. Now apply the triangular law of vector addition. That is R1 vector plus R12 vector will give R2 vector. So these two are adjacent side of the triangle and this is the third side of the triangle reverse in the reverse order. R1 plus R12 gives R2. We want only R12. So R12 is equal to R2 minus R1 vector. This is equation 1. Force on Q1 exerted by Q2 is F12. So which is F12? This one. Force on Q1 exerted by Q2. It is also acts along the line joining of the two charges. So this is my F12. Then what about R21? R21 is nothing but the unit vector from Q2 to Q1 like this. This is my R21 vector. Here also I want to find out R21 vector by applying triangular law of vector addition. R21 plus R2 is equal to R1 vector. Okay, by applying triangular law of vector addition. Now I want to find out R21. R21 vector is equal to R1 minus R2 vector. So this is equation 2. From equation 2, how you take minus outside, minus of R2 minus R1. You can rearrange this equation like this. You take minus outside, so minus R2, minus into minus plus R1. Okay, so this is my R21. So what is this R2 minus R1? This is nothing but R12. So R21 is equal to minus of R12. R21 is just opposite to R12. This second point, we found out R12 vector and R21 vector. So you know the formula, F21 is equal to K Q1 Q2 by R squared R12. Once you know R12, you can easily take modulus of R12 also. Then you can substitute, you can easily find out the forces. Equal to K Q1 Q2 by R square, right? This is magnitude alone. Then what about K? K is a proportionality constant. What is the value? K is equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught, epsilon 0 or epsilon naught. Okay, epsilon. So 4 pi epsilon naught. The epsilon naught is called permittivity of free space. So this is the value. So epsilon naught value is 8.85 into 10 to the power of minus 12 Newton minus 1 meter minus 2 Coulomb square. So what about this value? If you substitute this value, you know the pi value 3.14. Just you divide the value, you can get the K value as 9 into 10 to the power of 9 Newton meter square Coulomb power minus 2. This is the unit. How do you get this unit? Suppose K, if you want to find out K means F R square divided by Q1 Q2, right? So F is unit for force is Newton, unit for distance is meter. So here R square, meter square. Here unit, SI unit for charge is Coulomb. So Coulomb power minus 2. Suppose if Q1 equal to Q2 equal to 1 Coulomb and R is equal to 1 meter, then how do you find out the magnitude of the force? That is K into Q1 Q2 by r square. This is the formula for magnitude alone. If it is vector format means you should mark the unit vector also. But here I have taken only the magnitude of the force. So F is equal to K Q1 Q2 by R square. Here you know the K value. K value is 9 into 10 to the power of 9. And Q1 value you know 1 coulomb. So 1 into 1 divided by R is equal to 1 meter. So 1. So your answer is 9 into 10 to the power of 9 Newton. So Newton is the unit for force. So what is the conclusion here? You take 1 coulomb means the F value is very large. That is why in our day-to-day life we are taking Q value in microcoulomb or nanocoulomb. Suppose the medium is vacuum means the formula of F21 is equal to K. What is the K value? 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught. So 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught Q1 Q2 by R squared R12. This is for vacuum. The two charges kept in a medium means F21 is equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon. What is this epsilon? Permittivity of the medium. So now what is this permittivity? It is the property of the medium that affects the Coulomb force between two point charges when placed in that medium. What is the meaning? Epsilon is always greater than epsilon naught. What is this epsilon? Epsilon is permittivity of the medium. What is this epsilon naught? Permittivity of the free space or vacuum. So here according to this equation, force is inversely proportional to epsilon. Epsilon has greater value, so inversely proportional. So F has minimum value. That is why I concluded that force between two charges in a medium is less than that of the vacuum. Look at the diagram. Here I have taken two medium. This is air medium and this is water medium. I kept two positive charges inside the medium, inside the air medium. Here I kept two positive charges inside the water medium. Here the force on Q2 exerted by Q1 is F prime. So what is the meaning? F prime is less than F. This is the meaning. So that is why I said it is the property of the medium that affects the Coulomb force between two charges when placed in the medium. This is called permittivity. How do you calculate relative permittivity? So relative permittivity denoted by the letter epsilon r, that is equal to epsilon by epsilon naught. So what is this? Permittivity in a medium, permittivity in free space, and the epsilon r value is equal to 1 for vacuum. Epsilon r is greater than 1 for medium. This is our fifth point. So in this fifth point, we discussed about what is permittivity. Finally, we found out relative permittivity. So relative permittivity is denoted by the letter epsilon r, that is equal to epsilon by epsilon naught. Sixth point, here they compared Coulomb's law with Newton's law of gravitation. What is the formula? You know that F is directly proportional to Q1 Q2 by R square. That is, force is directly proportional to the product of magnitude of 2 point charges. Here the force is directly proportional to the product of 2 masses, and here the force is inversely proportional to the square of the distance. Here also the force is inversely proportional to the square of the distance between the two masses. This is the similarity. Next one, here the electrostatic force is either attractive or repulsive force. You know that if it is like charges means repel each other, unlike charges means attract each other. So here the force is attractive or repulsive force. Here always attractive force. Then you know the K value, 9 into 10 to the power of 9 Newton meter squared, C Coulomb power minus 2. Here G is a universal constant, value is 6.626 into 10 to the power of minus 11 Newton meter squared. kilogram minus 2. You know that K depends on medium. Why did I say it depends on medium? You know the formula, K is equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught. So epsilon naught is the permittivity of free space or vacuum. Suppose in medium means we can write 4 pi epsilon. So K value depends on medium. Here force is independent of the medium, whether it is air medium or water medium, the force is same. But if the charges are in motion means along with the electrostatic force, Lorentz force is also applicable. Here if the masses are at rest or in motion, the force is same. So these are the major difference between Coulomb's law and Newton's law of gravitation. The force on Q1 exerted by Q2 is, you know that, F12. So here also I mark the arrow outside because both are positive charge, they repel each other. So F12 in the outward direction. So how do you write F12? F12 is a vector quantity. So this one will give the magnitude, unit vector will give the direction of this force. So R21 is the unit vector here. Just now we saw R21 is equal to minus of R12 vector. Just to substitute in this equation, so F12 is equal to K Q1 Q2 by R squared minus R12. Instead of R21, I have written minus R12. Take the minus outside, so minus K Q1 Q2 by R squared R12 vector. What is this value? This is nothing but F21 vector. So F12 is equal to minus F21. Here it obeys Newton's third law of motion. Every action has equal and opposite reaction. F21 in this direction, F12 is in the opposite direction, right? So it obeys Newton's third law of motion. Coulomb's law is applicable only for a point charge. However, we can apply when the separation between the two charges is greater than the radius of the sphere. Coulomb discovered his law from this torsion balance. What is this torsion balance? It is used to measure small force. Here the angle of torsion is proportional to the force exerted. This is the torsion balance apparatus. Here I have a cylindrical glass case closed by a lid and one tube emerged out from the lid. At the end we have a metal called torsion head. Inside the torsion head we have one thread and the thread is connected to horizontal needle. This is my horizontal needle. Here I have one sphere, that is B sphere, and this is called brass disc. This is for balancing purpose. To make this needle in a horizontal position, I have brass disc at one end and one sphere at the other end. So this sphere is called B. And this A sphere is a fixed one. Here I have one scale, right? So the distance between the two spheres is measured from this scale. Inside the metal rod, that is inside the torsion head, I have a spring. In this scale, I have one needle is there. From this needle, we can easily calculate the angle of torsion or twisting angle. So this angle will give the force value. Here A and B are the two metal sphere. Both are uncharged sphere. So in order to start the experiment, Coulomb took out the sphere A and rubbed with some material. So due to this rubbing, A is charged. So now he inserted the charged sphere inside the cylindrical case. So initially A and B touched each other like this. This is uncharged sphere, this is charged sphere. After touching each other, the charge is transferred to B also. Suppose this is plus Q charge means this is also plus Q charge. The charge is transferred to uncharged sphere B. So due to these positive charges, the sphere repel each other. So the distance between the two spheres is measured by this scale. So due to this turning effect, we can measure the twisting angle from the spring-like scale. Because of this twisting, we can measure the angle of torsion from this scale. So this is the experimental setup. From this apparatus, he formulated that F is directly proportional to Q1, Q2 and inversely proportional to square of the distance between them. In this class, we have discussed Coulomb's law, then what is point charge, then what is permittivity, how it depends on the medium, like that we discussed, and we discussed 8 important points. And finally, we have discussed about torsion balance. I hope this video is useful to you. If you like my video, please share and subscribe my video. Thank you.